Hello everyone, welcome back to my channel. For today's video, I'm going to be working on a random Pinterest study that eventually turned into a sort of Aurora fan art. This illustration was in no way meant to be a fan art for Sleeping Beauty, but eventually when I started coloring it in, I realized how much it resembled Aurora's character. But I did get the vibe of Aurora's character in it. The sketching or idea generation phase of this illustration was a bit different because I actually tried out a lot of different ideas, as you must have seen in the beginning. I just kept drawing every other reference that I thought looked nice until I decided that I wanted to draw the specific one. I actually asked a friend, and when she told me to draw this one, I knew that this was also the one that I initially wanted to draw the most, and this is the one that I obviously ended up drawing. I actually struggled a lot while drawing the clothes. I did not enjoy doing it, maybe except for the sleeves part. I love how sketchy that looks and how blocky it looks. Like the reference that I had pulled up, the dress was extremely detailed. It had these frills and really tiny details that I just did not have the patience to draw here. So I simplified it a lot. I really could have made this a very pretty dress, but it just ended up looking like a very plain and simple one. So that just makes me wish that I had done this dress more justice than I have done here. What drew me to this reference in particular was how dreamy it looked. It wasn't just the outfit and how pretty the reference itself was, but also the entire vibe of it. And recently I've also wanted to try the more 90s Sailor Moon inspired anime style. Even though I never watched any kind of anime show in my entire life, I'm really drawn to the nostalgic vibe of the 90s and 80s anime shows. So let me know if that is something you'd like to see me experimenting with my style and trying out different kinds. I love how poofy her hair looks here. I wish I had exaggerated the shape more. And I've also been trying to simplify my style a lot more and make more clearer shapes, if that makes sense. I usually tend to stay away from drawing fan art illustrations most of the time. Like, it's not like there aren't enough things for me to draw fan art for. I'm just not interested in them enough at times. And I don't know if this happens to anyone else, but it sure happens to me. When I draw fan art of someone or something, I instantly forget about that show or that person. Like, I would completely hyperfixate on something, and then the second I draw them or it, I forget about it. Like, at this point, I'm pretty sure there's no one out there who can obsess over something to this extent and move on so quickly. I think it might have been these sleeves that made me go, okay, that's Aurora. And that was when I made the switch with the color palette. And I made some tiny little changes, like adding the tiara and a necklace. Other than that, I think everything else I kept the same. I wasn't exactly focused on staying true to Aurora's design in the movie. I just wanted to get her vibe, if that even makes sense. Like, I wouldn't expect someone to tell that this is Aurora without me mentioning it. I honestly don't know how to feel about these hands here. Like, I kind of like them. I like how they're structured, but then I also wish I had done them a bit differently. These are heavily inspired by Alicia Nye's tutorial. I think she did one, or maybe it's just inspired by the way she draws hands. It's just what makes sense to me. Like, it's the perfect blend of realism and a cartoony style. I decided to just take out the flat coloring process for this illustration. I was just bouncing around with different color schemes and trying to figure out how to incorporate Aurora's color scheme into this illustration. It was just way too chaotic, and I think I bumped my head into my phone a couple of times, so it would basically give you whiplash to watch that. Another thing that hasn't happened to me, but I'm still afraid of it happening, and I've heard a lot of other people talk about it, is how people from a specific fandom would follow you for fan art of that particular fandom, and then when you move on from it and start making original art or stuff for other fandoms, you just lose a massive chunk of your newly gained audience, and I really don't want that to happen. I just find it weird how I just hate doing fan art, but I consume it so passionately. I love seeing fan art of fandoms that I'm into and shows that I like and people that I love, and yet I somehow hate doing it myself. Oh, and another interesting thing that I somehow forgot to mention all along was that this is not the only illustration that I made this day. Like the day that I made this, I made another illustration that you'll be seeing next week. I was just so excited to draw, and seeing how good this illustration turned out, at least to me at that time, I just had to make another one. And the second that I picked up my phone, the most perfect Draw the Sinew style was posted. You'll be seeing which one next week, and I finished it 2 hours within the time that the Draw the Sinew style was posted. And I really don't think I've ever done that before. Like I would like a Draw the Sinew style, and then I would save it and completely forget about it until I'm just scrounging for inspiration, and I've scrolled really deep into my saved posts, and then I find this one Draw the Sinew style that is now over. Like I can still draw it, but now that it's over, I've kind of lost the motivation to do it. But I'll be talking more about that illustration in my next video, which if you're interested in seeing, consider subscribing if you haven't done that already. I think that's all I have to say for today's video. I really hope you enjoyed it, and I'll see you in the next one.